I was asked to make some comments, and I will make them, and then I'll ask Elise and Adam to add to anything that I missed. And I'll try to make some closing remarks. First thing, I do want to start immediately with many, many thanks to a number of people. First of all, I want to thank all of you who are in this room still. There was a lot of internal discussion at the Institute. There was a lot of discussion among the folks that advised us about this meeting about what was the right length. We know the 2.5-day meeting is asking a lot, and maybe we got it right, maybe we got it wrong, but what we were concerned about were people peeling off at the end, or we're just fatiguing them to the point where they wouldn't have anything to say after. And as demonstrated from this morning, not only did you vote with your feet and stick around, you also voted with your feet and you kept talking and giving us good ideas that I think were very helpful. So thank you to this great community that our Institute gets to foster and help convene in forums like this. I want to make a special thanks to the group, external group that really helped advise us for this meeting. We have this sort of ongoing working group of folks. And then in particular for this meeting, these 4 people to my left were sort of special advisors, which is why they got stuck with this hard job at the end. And so a special Institute thanks to the folks that have helped us put this meeting together, thinking about this area, and then these 4 wonderful advisors that have helped us. And actually, my understanding is their job is far from done, because we're going to continue. In fact, we're going to continue to push on them and have them help us try to synthesize. I also want to give a thanks, great. We did call on a number of others here to do various functions, help us on breakout sessions, chair sessions, give talks. Obviously, thanks to all of you. This is absolutely a community effort to have an intellectually rigorous 2.5 days. I want to also make a shout out to my Institute's video team. This has been webcast, and hundreds of people have been watching. And so, it's wonderful if you get invited and you get to be in the room. It's always hard because this room was only so big. We can only afford to bring so many people here. So one of the means that we have to reach a broader group in real time is through video, and so we value that. We thank our folks who can do this. It's a lot of work to set up in videocast. It's clearly worth it. We can just see the lots of people watching on the outside and engaging. I think that's really important. It's something we value. So thanks to the team who helped us do that. A special thanks to Elise and Adam, who clearly, this is like pushing a big boulder up a mountain for many weeks leading up to it. And of course, the work doesn't stop for them. And by the way, they immediately tell you there's a whole group of others, Chris Wetterstrand, others. We have people typing nonstop for 2.5 days right here, probably hundreds of pages of notes. So believe me, I won't say it takes a village, but it does take an institute to not only convene this thing, make it productive, but then a mountain of material that has to be dealt with and synthesized. So the work is still in front of us, but there are a lot of people behind the scenes that don't get named on any slides who have been extremely helpful. So where are we? I'm not going to have brilliant things to say. We're far from having anything fully synthesized. I heard some comments from various people. Eric Lander appropriately says we need to sort of bring clarity to this, and there's various things one might think about. I actually personally think we're sort of at that very healthy lack of clarity stage. We've gone through lots of ideas. We didn't expect perfect clarity by the end of this 2.5 days. I guess if I had to think about a metaphor as a genomics geeky metaphor, but I sort of think where we're at is, if you think back to sequence assembly, we sort of went through the shotgun phase. It's sort of an early draft. What we saw coming up on slides were some early draft assemblies of ideas, far from a finished product. But that's okay. I just want to remind you where we are in this process. And if you could think back 2.5 days in one of my earliest slides, let me just remind you, we're not even at the halfway point of the strategic planning process. And so I think it's great to have some ideas starting to gel together enough to actually throw some dots at them. But we don't need perfect clarity yet. We're not going to start writing anything for probably at least a year. But I think this gives some sort of wind into our sails to sort of now try to refine this even more. Now, how will this sort of go forward to a more finished product, if you will? Well, I've heard various ideas over the last hour. It sounds like we might ask for some additional dotting or something, and we might do that remote. That's one idea, is to refine some of these ideas and ask for some additional votes or dots. I spontaneously heard from this side of the room that there's a self-aggregation going on of folks who are going to write a white paper. We love that. NHGRI doesn't need to totally dictate every little element in the strategic planning process. We love self-aggregation in the community, and you want to do that and then put a white paper together for us? Awesome. Go for it. I embrace it wholeheartedly. I heard one idea. There might be others. Please, with folks you argued with in the hall or at the bar, wherever, get together and put something together in some particular area or some cross-cutting area. We would love to see that. And then other ideas bubbled up. I heard one idea of maybe of some mechanistic way we could put up something that would sort of define challenge problems and get really crisp, clear ideas for that. We will think about that. We heard from Gil just briefly about other ways of aggregating people. Maybe we have workshops that are covering it. Maybe not. We will be looking at that. If you have other ideas of how to stimulate or bring us towards clarity, please, you know how to reach us. Please let us know. We are very receptive to multiple modalities for helping to facilitate this conversation going forward. As expected, and as I said in my talk, at least for me, maybe it's because I'm getting older, but this is just so much more complicated than there's just so many more dimensions, and that's maybe we're victims of our own success. We've become so relevant to so many things other than just assembling the first sequence of the human genome. It's just so complicated, and I think even the way we represent some of these ideas, it just has so many more dimensions, and so, but that's a good thing. But it also means it's a lot harder, and so we recognize this is going to require even more work going forward. But again, we have a long way to go before we have to put a strategic plan together. So stay tuned is my main message. There will be additional engagement associated with this workshop, but there'll be additional events. There's sort of ongoing things that we're going to continue to be interacting with you and the community, and you always know how to reach us, and you always know how to follow us associated with sort of websites and other ways that we're going to try to keep this as open and interactive as possible. So those are the things I wanted to say. I'm certainly happy to take any questions or comments. I'll just look around. Meanwhile, and we're not closing yet because I'm going to let it go back to Elise and Adam, but I also do want to wish all of you sort of safe travels, because I know some of you have come from different places. You need to travel back. It's very rainy out there, all that. It is winter. I haven't checked a weather map for the whole country, so I don't know if you're going back to bad weather or not, but safe travels. It's great to see all of you, and I'm sure I'll be seeing all of you again in the coming months. So that's what I wanted to say. Let me turn it back over to Elise, and once again, thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Eric. I also want to thank all of you for coming and accommodating crazy travel issues to be here. And Eric, would really like to thank you for your support and your guidance in developing this meeting, as well as Carolyn. I think your input has really helped make this a really great meeting. I'm very excited about what has been discussed over the last couple of days. I particularly want to give a shout out to people who've been taking notes diligently. I don't know how their hands are dealing with this. Our wonderful program analysts, Taylor Lynn Steffen, Eileen Cahill, and Michael Pagan. Really appreciate that. And tremendous amount of help from Chris Wetterstrand and Lorgetta Schools as well, and all things that they just didn't even bother Adam and I about, which we really appreciated, and in particular the real-time dot storming. Chris and Taylor Lynn, and I'm not sure who else, who really did a tremendous amount to make this work. So we really appreciate it. And I'm not a real Twitter person, but I want to call out Brittany Lassagne. I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly, but you've been doing real-time tweeting, and that's been really great, and got a good snapshot of the meeting in real time. So Adam, anyone else I've forgot? Thank you. And again, our people have been advising us. It's been great. We're going, as Eric said, our work is not done, so we're going to be working a couple more hours to try to figure out how we're going to put all this together. And so thank you all very much, and safe travels.
to touch base with you, make sure that if you'd heard the news about Connie Wine